the doomsday clock has been moved to 90 seconds to midnight. So this is a measurement of how close we are to the end of the world, to the apocalypse, to annihilating the planet with nuclear weapons, right? And this is the closest it's ever been to midnight, okay? Midnight representing the end. 90 seconds. This is a few hours ago, right? So these scientists, the atomic scientists who run this every year, they cited the Ukraine war, climate change, and COVID put humanity at greater risk of annihilation.
The members of the Science and Security Board moved the hands of the doomsday clock forward, largely, though not exclusively, because of the mounting dangers in the war in Ukraine. We moved the clock forward the closest it has ever been to midnight. It is now 90 seconds to midnight.
"90 seconds to midnight." That's pretty close. That's too close, and that's what I've been telling you guys for a while. You know, this is not gonna end well. One of the conditions for German reunification was that, you know, the Soviets would support this as long as NATO doesn't expand any further to the east. Okay, and I know there are people who like to say, well, this was never put in writing, and that's just it's a Kremlin talking point. No, it's not. It's in the British National Archives. I think, ironically, we're talking about Spiegel. Der Spiegel published last year minutes from the diplomatic meetings where they said, no, these are Western diplomats talking. Say we can't put Poland inside of NATO because it'll upset the Russians, and we can't do that given the 2+4 negotiation, right? So it's very clear. They know, okay, we can reunite Germany, but we can't put these these Eastern Bloc or Russian satellite states inside of NATO. And what do? They got Germany reunited, wonderful, and then they start expanding. You know, Bush in 2008. Bush before that, and then I'm referring to Ukraine and Georgia in 2008 at the NATO summit. Again, another slap in the face. And just every couple of years, they start adding more and more people. And just for context, since the end of the Cold War, NATO has doubled its membership. Doubled. You know, if you're the Russians, you're looking at this shit and you're saying we've got a pretty crappy deal. You know, the Russians went from being in Berlin to having Germany in NATO, and then all of the Eastern Bloc in NATO, and you can just look at whose borders have changed. It's NATO that's moving closer towards Russia, and you know, the Russians are the ones who've gotten a pretty crappy deal. I mean, I would be pretty pissed off if I were in their shoes. I would be very pissed off because it's like you've taken them for a ride. You know, you've taken them for a ride, and it's not just about the tanks as weapons of war. It's the symbolic and the historical context of having German tanks, you know, charging towards Russian lines. No, you can't do this. It's not going to end well. And it was already bad enough before, where they were basically supplying the Ukrainians anyway. But now these are German-made tanks. Very clear, very distinctive. Look at the bright side. At least somebody's making money, right? You got to replace those tanks. Somebody's got to build new ones, and they're making money. So, you know, it's not a bad deal for them. Not a bad deal at all.